Labour's decision to allocate £21.7 billion for carbon capture and hydrogen projects while slashing £1.4 billion from pensioners' winter fuel payments isn't just contradictory, it's infuriating. This stark contrast highlights how Labour is all too willing to invest in long-term green energy projects while leaving the most vulnerable members of society to suffer. With the party now spinning a narrative around the so-called £22 billion black hole in the nation's finances, the contradictions just keep piling up. The £22 billion black hole excuse. Labour's frequent mention of a £22 billion black hole has become a cornerstone of their fiscal policy, serving as a justification for their harsh cuts. According to Rachel Reeves, this massive gap was inherited from the previous government and requires tough decisions to fix. Yet, the notion of this black hole has been criticized by financial experts, with former Bank of England economist Andy Haldane labeling it unnecessary and unhelpful. His argument? While announcing a budget gap might serve political purposes, it creates economic uncertainty and fear, both domestically and internationally. Worse yet, this black hole narrative is being used to justify painful cuts like the winter fuel payment reduction, which could leave pensioners in dire straits. Even as Labour finds billions to pour into green technology projects. Labour math. Amateur hour. Let's break down the numbers. £21.7 billion is being allocated over 25 years for carbon capture and hydrogen technology, promising future jobs and investments in regions like Merseyside and Teesside. Yet, £1.4 billion is being pulled from winter fuel payments, which could have gone to help pensioners survive through harsh winters. And all this comes under the guise of filling a £22 billion black hole, despite economists pointing out that much of this gap is being exaggerated for political leverage. Full fact. The Centre for Policy Studies. Labour's math is simple. Cut from those who need it now to gamble on future tech that may or may not pay off. This isn't economic competence, this is amateur hour. Ed Miliband, mad scientist of the Green Revolution? Adding to the absurdity is Ed Miliband, Labour's energy secretary, who has gone all in on the green agenda. Some are even wondering if he's taken on the role of a mad scientist, throwing billions at unproven technology in an attempt to save the planet, without considering the immediate social costs. While Miliband was once a moderate figure in Labour, his newfound zeal for pushing Britain toward green energy at any cost has raised eyebrows. Has anyone checked on Ed Miliband lately? His latest speeches sound more like science fiction than sound fiscal policy, and no one seems to be asking tough questions about the balance between environmental investments and social responsibility. Labour's approach to governance is riddled with contradictions. On one hand, they decry a £22 billion black hole, using it to justify painful cuts to pensioners. On the other, they're splashing billions on carbon capture and hydrogen tech that won't provide immediate relief for those struggling today. Labour's math doesn't add up, and the hypocrisy is glaring. Their decisions will leave the most vulnerable in our society out in the cold, quite literally. It's time for Labour to re-evaluate their priorities, balance their ambitious green agenda with immediate social needs, and stop using economic excuses to justify their amateurish governance. And please Ed, save us the singing. We have suffered enough.